I'm joined now by Afshin Molavi from the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. He's a senior fellow in their Foreign Policy Institute. So a lot to get to at the beginning of the two sessions. But the big number, 6.5% growth. Again, they're projecting slower growth. We know that they surpassed that number last year. So quality growth, is it a matter, though, of just starting out with a safer projection?
It could be starting out with a safer projection, but I think many people felt that as China moves away from this export-led economy more towards a consumption-driven economy, we're going to see slower growth. And I think what was important that Premier Li did talk about high-quality development. He did talk about poverty alleviation because, we sometimes think of this issue of inequality as only being an issue in the Western world, but inequality is rising across the emerging markets. And I think this speech that he gave in this work program really addressed that issue, and it really needed to address that issue. We could not have perennial 9–10% growth in China. It's just simply unsustainable. So this is a more reasonable target, and I think it's the right target. Just
one of several big numbers, the goal to create 11 more million jobs just this year. Is that realistic? Is it possible?
It's possible, particularly as China moves more towards an innovation economy, and particularly when you look at a lot of the numbers when you look at in China, the GDP growth numbers. There's people question those GDP growth numbers. You can question those all you want, but when you look at urban consumption numbers, retail industry, services industry, there's been an explosion in financial technology services as well. I mean, people, as you know, Elaine, you can walk into any store in just about any second or third tier Chinese city and swipe your telephone and pay for goods. And so we're seeing explosions in these technology industries, which is going to continue to grow urban consumption, which I think you'll find more jobs coming out of those sectors.
Part of President Xi's plan, as you mentioned, was to eliminate poverty by the year 2020, talking about tens of millions more people into more prosperity. Talk to us about China's booming middle class and the challenges yet to get there, to bring these people out of poverty.
Sure. I mean, if you allow me, we're also at the 40th anniversary of the reforms process in many ways that began this journey. And I think it's important to just go back for a moment, because what we've seen over the past 40 years is unprecedented in human history. The scale and scope of China's industrial revolution, China's economic transformation, which has lifted not just the 83 million or so that they talked about since 2013, but lifted 700 million people out of poverty. So the trajectory is up and to the right, but now comes the hard part. Because once you've built a growing middle class, once you've gotten yourself to a middle income status, then comes the middle income trap. It becomes a little bit harder to grow at those same levels. There are going to be people left behind which could, create problems down the road.
And about 30 seconds left, but I got to ask you quickly about the two sessions happening as we're seeing fears of a trade war originating in the United States. Just your thoughts as the international community looks to see what happens there in Beijing.
Sure. China's response was subdued thus far to the President Trump's steel tariffs and aluminum tariffs, but I think they're very concerned about the broader issue of protectionism, if not so much about steel and aluminum.
All right, Afshin Molavi, always great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.